You're watching News 24 Live. It's Monday, the 3rd of August. I'm joined in studio this morning by Sport 24 editor Gary Namney and chief writer Rob Howing to give us an update on the latest happenings in the world of sport. Good morning, gents.
Morning, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Thanks for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
So yes, not I guess too much of an eventful weekend, but still a lot to talk about. Rob, I'm going to start with you. We've got a big test match coming up this weekend with the Springboks. I guess it's nothing really to play for, but still time to test some combinations ahead of the World Cup. What is your feeling ahead of the test match against Argentina in terms of possible changes that Heineke Meyer might make? I see there's talk of Peter Step du Toit coming back into the mix, and JdV, is he fit and raring to go?
Yeah, supposedly. It's going to be mightily interesting to see exactly what role he gets in the test in Durban on Saturday. Whether in fact he comes back as skipper and starts and is therefore sort of confidently expected to get through, I would think, at least 50 or 60 minutes as the on-field skipper, or whether he gets used sparingly off the bench. They have been very cautiously sort of managing his comeback, even at provincial level. So he's been gradually building up game time as we go, and then did complete a game for Western Province, that game against the Kings, I think, in Port Elizabeth. So presumably from a sort of getting sort of the amount, sort of a bit of getting the air back in the lungs, he's getting there, and I think that there will be some pressure for him to get a pretty substantial amount of game time over the next 2 weeks, whether it's most of it in the first game in Durban or more of it in the Buenos Aires follow-up the week after that, which of course is a non-championship test match.
But then captaincy-wise, Rob, would that stay with Skulk? Is Big Vic fit yet?
Yeah, I mean that's also he's also being sort of cotton-wooled a little bit. Clearly, they still do regard Victor Matfield as a very critical component of the Boks plans for the World Cup. So if there's the slightest suggestion that he's not back to full fitness, then I wouldn't think he would start this one. I'm not saying he won't. It's very difficult to work out exactly how Heineke is going to select for this test match, because on the one hand you've got lots of players who've had little or no game time in the championship so far, but then you do strive for a little bit of continuity, and you don't want to sort of make too many panic selections and sort of chop and change to too great an extent. So I would imagine that we'll see at least sort of 2/3 of the team that did duty, and generally quite well, despite the defeats against Australia and the All Blacks. For what are two very important test matches. These test matches are no less important in many respects than the Australia New Zealand ones, because it's all about World Cup prep this year. And so any test match is an opportunity to sort of, to test yourselves. And I think the Argentinian games come at a good time, because they're also great scene setters for our group games at the World Cup, which of course everyone expects us to stride through our pool fairly convincingly. But when you've got to play sort of tricky teams like Samoa and Scotland on sort of neutral territory, then a team like Argentina gives you quite good preparation for that, because they're also a relative minnow side, with due respect to them. They are likely to finish bottom of the championship after this weekend. One would hope so, because you hate to think of the Springboks slipping on a banana peel and sort of ending the championship 0-3 on Saturday, which I don't think will happen. And it's a question of sort of by how much we beat Argentina more than anything else. A little bit of pressure on the Boks, I think, to put them away quite convincingly, a little bit like Australia did in the end. Away, and of course New Zealand also dispatched them after a bit of trouble fairly convincingly in New Zealand. So the Boks are under pressure to put them away by a fair old margin.
Well, Garen, of course that return clash is sort of seen as a friendly, the game in Argentina, part of our World Cup preparations, but we have almost come unstuck there the last few occasions. Would a defeat to Argentina in the next two games mean anything in the bigger scheme of things?
Well, obviously it wouldn't mean losing the Rugby Championship. I don't think it would be ideal, let's be honest. I think we're sort of tethering on the brink here of this season and this year. It could go either way. We've lost to Australia, we've lost to New Zealand. All that means is that they've got more confidence in beating South Africa, the second best team in the world, heading into the World Cup. Argentina, as Rob said, haven't been that good this year. They were close against Australia in the first half, but then they ran away winners at the end. Same with the All Blacks. It was tight in the first half. All Blacks, the experience and playing for 80 minutes told in the end. I fully expect South Africa to win on Saturday. As you said, the second match against Argentina in Argentina is sort of like just a final match to iron out some issues ahead of the World Cup. A bit like Australia and New Zealand are doing. They're also playing a second match against each other in Auckland, but that doubles as the Bledisloe Cup. So it's much more important for those two teams to retain or win that trophy than the South Africa game. Looking at this weekend, if you're talking about changes that I would like to see, I'm not a massive fan of continuity. I think all these players know what to do. I'm really looking at an occasion where a season campaigner goes down in the 10th minute of a match and you've got to throw somebody in. If this person has never played or started a match before, that could be detrimental to that match, the outcome of, or even that tournament. So in Durban, I'd love to see Pat Lambie starting at fly-half in place of Pollard. We know what he can do. I'd like to see Kobus Reinach maybe partner Lambie, at the Sharks, which they do in Durban this weekend. Give Pienaar a break. We know what he can do. Jean de Villiers, I'm sure, will come off the bench. I'd like to see the centre combination that we've got, the very young centre combination between Kriel and De Allende, given another chance. And then in the pack of forwards, like you said, Pieter-Steph du Toit, I don't think he's going to start, and I'm not sure if he's ready to do so, even though he got through a fair shift this weekend when the Sharks actually beat the Lions. I think he's going to come on. Victor Matfield, if he's fit, I think he'll be back. Apparently, he could have played 2 weeks ago at a push against was it Australia? But they elected to give him another 2-week break. So I'm sure he's fit by now. I think even Etzebeth deserves another chance. And again, in the front row, even though the Sharks' front row has pretty much started every game for us, at home, I think I'd like to see them all given a break. Even if they are on the bench, but give Adrian Strauss a chance to play 80 minutes, give Bismarck a break, and then pick some of the second tier, if you like, props that we are still pretty good. But against, it'll be a good test of them against the Argentina scrum, which is, among the best in the world. I still think, having said all that and made all those changes, we'll still be far too good for this Argentina team. It'll just help build some of our depth, give them sort of the experience that they need at the highest level. And, the Rugby Championship is a thing of a past for us. At best, we can come third. In the past, in the Tri-Nations, that would have been last. So it's not a great result for us. But again, the big picture is the Rugby World Cup. And as Rob again said, this is sort of like the strength of a group phase match. Argentina / Scotland, Japan, Samoa, they're all much of a muchness down. They're ranked sort of like in the 10 to 12 bracket in the world rankings. So it'll be a good test for that. But obviously, we're all looking at the quarterfinals and who we're likely to play in England then. So, but we can only play who's in front of us this weekend. So it's Argentina. So, good luck to the Boks.